Chris Petri here. Welcome everyone, welcome. Hey, thanks for coming by. We're gonna have another fun video here. We're gonna actually do some figure painting. And in this video, we're gonna go step by step. We're gonna cover all the different ways you can implement new and different techniques to creating your figure painting to make it easier and a little more approachable for those of you that might kind of shy away from figure painting. I realize everyone has, I think as watercolor artists, we all sometimes have that tendency, if we see something really difficult, we kind of say, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to paint that, or I'm not sure if I'm going to draw that. Just break through it, break through the fear, break through whatever roadblocks you have, and just totally go for it. Just watch this video full through and see the process that we use to create this beautiful painting here, this figure painting, and you'll see that it's really just a matter of steps as we go along the way, and I just clearly kind of go through each one as we go. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to sort of pick our subject matter, and we used our photograph here on our device, my phone. I'm using my phone as a picture from my phone, and then we draw it. But before we do that, we kind of do a quick layout over the top of that with some acetate paper, some acetate, some plastic. So you're going to see how to use this acetate plastic or any plastic you can find around the house. There's a lot of times all kinds of interesting things you buy from the store that have plastic, so you don't have to necessarily go out and buy acetate if you don't want to. You can find plastic around the house. There's all kinds of plastic we have in packaging and everything like that. And you just take this and you put it over the phone. You tape it onto the phone, and you get your main lines of your figure, like so. You get your main lines of your figure with a Sharpie. Simple as that. You get a Sharpie marker and you go over the top. So you trace over the top of your figure with a Sharpie marker, and you take that and then you put some pencil lines down as you go. And I'll explain how you do that next in the video. So stick around, stick here. We're going to show you all the ways you can improve your figure painting by just doing a couple extra steps, finding some plastic, getting some additional information before you start drawing and painting, and you'll have a much easier time, and you'll be successful at this. No question about it. You can do a successful figure painting by taking these few extra steps before you just start firing in the pencil lines and the paint. If you do these few techniques we're going to show here on this video, you'll have a much better time at completing a beautiful figure painting of your choice. You can do this one. You can find newspaper clippings, or you can go into magazines and find figures. You can take photos of your own, of your family members, whatever you want to do. You can do beautiful figures. Just take that little extra few steps, and then you'll be on your way to doing some great figure work. Okay, so I want everyone to just go for the gusto. Practice this 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Each time you do a new one, you'll learn something new each time. The first time you might learn something like you added too many darks to your painting, or too many lights to your painting, or you went off the beaten track from your sketch that you did when you first started. Whatever it is, each time you try a new figure painting, you'll learn something new. You'll learn what not to do and what to do. So those are the main things. When you practice and keep doing exercises over and over, you're learning what not to do, because you'll say, oh, I remember I was supposed to do this, but I didn't do it, and now I got a bad result. Now you know for the next time you're not going to do whatever it is you might have an issue with. So it's no problem. Have fun with it. Just keep working at it. And again, no reason why you can't do beautiful figures in watercolor. And I struggled on this one too, so I'm not an expert at it myself, but I'm always working at it and learning new things, and I hope you'll join along with me. Have fun with it, and we'll work on it together. And by the end of this video, you'll have learned a lot of things, and then you just keep applying that to your next painting. Okay, so come on, we'll get started in just a few seconds. All right, we're getting back started again here. We just saw the finished painting, and right in the beginning of this video. So actually we're going to start up our process of how did we get to that finished painting. So as an artist, you're going to kind of say to yourself, how am I going to get to the end result? I have to break it down into smaller parts and So there's smaller steps and processes we have to take to get to that finished product. Now, best thing to do here is we'll follow this process through as we go. I'll show you step by step how I got to the finished painting. And then you want to try to do something the same as this or something similar. You work it out according to how you like to work with your art. Everyone's a little different. Some of you might like to do things a little different. You know, you've been an artist for many years and you're used to your process. That's fine. Some of you that are newer to watercolor painting and drawing and painting, you might want to follow this process because you're sort of don't really have a set plan of how you go about creating paintings when it comes to figure painting. So this is a figure painting tutorial. So this is where if you haven't done a lot of figure painting, you can kind of pick up some good tips and tidbits here. And so we're just going to go with it. I'll go with the flow here myself. I'm just going to kind of show you how I go about doing a painting like this, and we'll see how it goes. So we saw the finished painting. Now we're going to get started and see how we got to that. First thing I do is I just want to show this is my finished photograph. So this is a kindly old gentleman here. He's on his front steps. He's sitting in a chair having a little snack, and he's just watching the street and the people walking by and the cars going by, just enjoying some fresh air outside. So that's going to be our subject matter. So we're going to have this, and what we'll do is, the only thing I think I have as far as working with phones, you know, you can work from magazines, clippings, newspaper clippings. You can work from phones, computers, art books, whatever you have, you can work from. I suggest for this video, you work from my finished painting and my finished pencil drawing. But you can also work from other things. Maybe you'll try this one time with this video, and then you'll go out and you'll find other subject matter, other figures that you want to paint. We'll do other figures too as well. We're doing this one now. We'll do different, figures as we go over the coming months. So, but this one here is really fun. Let's try it. So the first thing I'll say is I just want to make sure, like when I'm working from my phone, when I'm going to paint this and draw this, I want to make sure it's not shutting off. The phone's not shutting on and off. So you have to check with your settings on your phone to make sure you can leave your phone so the screen doesn't go dark after whatever it is, 30 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes, so forth. So that's something you might have to research a little bit on YouTube. Actually, YouTube has great tutorials on how to adjust your phone and all that kind of thing, whatever phone you might have or electronic device. So we'll get started. Now the first thing I would do is I use plastic. So here I'm going to use some plastic. This is called acetate. I have some in my studio. It's called Mylar, Duralar. It's called it's Mylar is the name for the plastic, and the company that makes it's called Duralar, Duralar. You can buy it in pads, small pads, large pads. You can use stuff. I've used plastics from like things from the supermarket and things like that too. So I've used that in the past to do some little bit of note taking on my plastic when I'm maybe transposing things from a photograph or a clipping from the newspaper or magazine or book and then putting it onto my paper. So we're going to do this same concept. So you can kind of see I have some markings here. So this is the plastic I'm going to use, and I'm just going to, let's pretend that this is, I already did the Sharpie marker over top of this photograph, but let's pretend that it's clear and there's nothing there. So I just take the plastic and I put it over the picture with a little bit of tape, just to tape it to the top of the phone so it doesn't move too much. Then I would take my Sharpie marker, either red or black would work fine. I find that black works pretty good with this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to transpose some of those lines onto the plastic. So what I'm going to do here is hold the plastic down on this side, and it's taped up here. And I'm just going to say, let me notice some strong, prominent vertical lines or horizontal lines in this painting, in this photograph. That's going to help me to lay out my drawing better. So here we're looking at it and we're saying, okay, well, I notice right away this vertical stands out really strong. It's a vertical line that goes along the hat, the head, shoulder, knee, and the heel of his shoe. And his knee and his shoe back here, the heel of his shoe. or you could say maybe even if we move it over a little, his leg over here. So let's say this here. Let's follow this line. So his right leg, his pants on his right leg is this vertical line, and it transfers up here to his knee, top of his knee, his hand, center of his hand pretty much, is where he's eating some snacks here, and then up to his shoulder, almost right to the turn of his shoulder, going from horizontal to vertical. Shoulder, forehead, hat. So can you see that? This vertical line runs all the way through from top to bottom like this. Hat, forehead, shoulder, hand, knee, and his right leg, side of his right leg. His right side of his right leg and his right shoe. And that's what we have. We have that strong vertical line like that runs right through this picture. So that's perfect. Then we can make a couple other markings. Let's say the top of his hat here, bottom of his hat here, the brim. And then maybe we could go with a little bit of like his ear, his left shoulder. We got the left shoulder here, a little bit of the line here with the left arm over here. Then we have his thigh. Here's the top of his thigh here on his left leg. The chair. We can make a level line for his chair. So we're doing that strong vertical line right through the picture. That's strong, very dominant. Then we go here and we say, okay, how about the horizontals? Top of hat, brim of hat, shoulder, top of thigh and knee, chair. And then we have a couple other ones too here. Another chair, parallel. That's a nice horizontal line. The two chairs here, the parts of the chair, and maybe the cuff of the pants here. Then we have maybe the socks here, and then the shoe. So you can kind of see we've gotten a lot of great information from just overlaying a piece of plastic on top of our phone and then just touching down onto the plastic with some Sharpie marker, some prominent, strong lines in this composition, in this photograph. And you can transpose, you can use this plastic and put it over the top of pictures and books, watercolor books. You can do this with clippings from magazines. Does that make sense? So you can use this method a lot of different ways. So let's take this now and we'll lift this up. I'll put this to the side. I'm going to take my photograph here, get it aligned correctly, and I'll set it across from me on my art table. And again, my phone is set so that it won't turn off and go dark while I'm working. So that's a really important key here. Okay, so we've done a lot of work already here. We've been working for 5-10 minutes on the very beginning stages of drawing our figure, and it seems like a lot of work, but really it's really a great way to tackle figure work, because figure work's difficult. Drawing the human form, figures, it can be really challenging. It's really tough actually. So the more advantage we have with working with some extra tools in our toolbox will help us greatly. So you can now we can really see how that, when we put this down on the white paper, we can really get ourselves, a great head start when we start to draw this. So let's set this on the page. I'm going to put this a little bit lower. So I'm just thinking of where I'm putting this into this this picture. It's more of a square picture here. I have a square border around this, so it's not so much a rectangle, it's more of a square, just how it turned out when I taped it down. And I have some paper left here. I used a small square type piece of paper. It's a Fabriano Artistico paper, and that looks good. I'm going to leave it lower in the frame versus up high. He might seem like he's floating here. Let's kind of anchor it down to the bottom of the picture, and that's about good. So we'll put him a little bit off center and a little bit lower in this picture frame. And then I just put the tape down, and then we're going to work from here. So I'm glad you're here. I'm so happy you're here working along with us. We're going to really have fun doing this figure work. And always remember, when you're doing your watercolor paintings, your drawings, have fun with it. It's a learning process all the time. So each time you do it, you're looking to learn some new things. You can step back after you're done and go, oh, what did I do that I can improve upon? And then you'll maybe do another one just like this one, and you'll improve what maybe didn't go well in the first try. And then maybe you'll do it a third or fourth time, and each time you're going through it over and over, you'll find each new thing you need to improve upon a little bit. And then by the time you've done it 5 or 6 times, you've kind of figured out all the bugs, so to speak, and you're good. You have like pretty much a solid drawing and painting that you've created, and you'll kind of learn a lot along the way. So I hope that really works for you, that method of just repetition. Repetition is the mother of skill, and that's all you have to recall is repeating things over and over in art. As far as drawing and painting and using the methods and the techniques, you're going to learn a lot about improving upon each step of the way as you go, and you'll have better paintings. And let's take a quick break. And I always mention too, right down here, right side of the screen, you'll see the red subscribe button. Please subscribe to my channel. You'll have fun here. We're going to work each week. We'll work together. We're creating paintings. We're doing all kinds of interesting subject matter. We're doing figure painting. We're doing seascapes, landscapes, cityscapes. We do beautiful boat paintings. We do everything you can imagine under the sun, all watercolors, and you'll just get better and better as you follow along. And even if it's not your favorite subject matter, you can still watch and kind of learn from it. And you might be able to, if you're not so happy with figure painting like this, you can still learn some things about painting and drawing as we're going along in this process that you can put towards other types of your more favorite style of things you like to paint and draw. Okay? All right, so also please hit the notification bell when you hit the subscribe, so this way you'll know when our videos are coming out on the weekend, or maybe we'll do one once in a while during the middle of the week. You'll kind of be able to just get cued in onto when we exactly put out our videos, so you can watch quick and get up to speed on everything. And we'll be right back. We'll start the drawing, and then in just a few minutes after that, we'll get into the painting portion. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, welcome. Hey, we're back again. We're getting back into the figure drawing here, and we're pretty much up to speed on everything. We took our photograph on our phone. We placed a plastic acetate film over the top of our phone, and we taped it to our phone so it didn't move around. And we just got some lines and we just sketched out a few lines on the figure. We figured a really strong vertical was across the hat and the head and the shoulder and the knee and the leg here, the bottom. So we covered that just a few seconds ago in the video, but I just figured we'd get back up to speed a little bit. So we have that on our acetate. Now we placed our acetate down onto our paper, and then now we're going to take our pencil and we're going to actually transpose this down onto the paper. So let's do that. Let's just lift up and go a little bit at a time. So we just start at the top, lift up the paper, and just sort of get a nice light line as we go. We'll try to get things right here. So you can almost use the shadow of the light coming through the acetate, and you can just put your pencil lines on that shadowing that comes from the acetate as you work down. So I'll just draw the lines as I see it. And this one here is like so. And this here's the hat. And then let's continue with that vertical line, the vertical line here. So I'm just going to go right down with the vertical line. Just a light sketch. You don't have to make it perfect, just so you can see it on your paper. So now I've got that strong vertical line going straight. Can you see that? So I have my strong vertical straight on through like that. And now I'm just going to start to work my horizontal lines. So the shoulders over here, and then the jacket's over here, and then we have his top of his thigh. You just take your time. And then over here we have the seat of the chair. So seat of the chair, leg, that's the bottom of the chair. There's some more horizontal lines there. Chair there. Okay, then we have over here his right leg. Actually, that's his left leg, crossed over the top of his right leg. His shoe over here, and his heel is here. And we just tie that all together. Then we have his right shoulder over here. His jacket is over here, so he's wearing a nice windbreaker jacket. And that's so now that we have this information on the paper, we can take this off, and there we have it. We have a very light sketch. Let's see if I can turn the light down. Maybe this will be able to, I don't know, can't tell if the light going up or down is going to help us to see it better. I think a little bit down here with the lights will make it better. Yes. Now what I'll do is I'll just go over this with a little darker line, just so you can see. So I have my vertical here. So that vertical line is here. It travels through here, picks up the leg down here. Heel is over here of the left leg, crossed over the right leg. And the heel is about the same area as the cuff of the pants. So what I'll do is I have the very light sketch of the acetate or the plastic that we used. So again, I just transferred those few lines here and there, strong vertical and then the other horizontals. Now we have pretty much almost like a preliminary sketch done. So those of you that have worked with me a long time, you always hear me talk about doing the preliminary sketch, which is a super light sketch first, before you go in and do your final contour drawing over the top. So that's what this really is. This is really like a preliminary sketch. Super light lines here and there just to get the figure laid out correctly on the page, like we did here on this painting, on this square or rectangle, if you will. And then now that we have that, now we can go in and we can do our contour drawing. So now I'm going to work right from my phone. So I have my phone across from me, the figure's here across from me, and I'm just going to do that, look at the figure as I go, and I'll draw as I go using all of these lines we just put onto the paper to keep me on track so I don't go off track and wind up making the figure unpleasant looking with odd proportions and so forth. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to lightly so I'm lightly doing the face of this gentleman, and then we have his ear up here, so we have his ear. I don't think I'll put that mask in, we'll leave that out. There's the underside of the brim of the hat. And okay, there we go. We have the hat. Now we're going to go over on the side here and we're going to try to get the so I'm going to do is the cuffs of his jacket. Okay, this is his jacket over here. Okay, that's pretty good. And we'll go over here. And I'm just following the okay, now I'm going to go back up. I'm going to try to keep to the idea of wanting to stay in one area and then work out from one area as I go. Sometimes, especially if you don't have these markings on your paper, that can be really difficult to do the contour drawing for this figure. So now that we do have these hash marks everywhere and these lines that we drew first, it gives us a real kind of, game plan of where we have to be with all of the parts of the figure here. So that being said, I still always go with the idea that you want to work from, let's say, the head. We start with the head first, and then you work out from there. But you stay close to the head until you get everything done in this head area first. Then you start working out into the farther reaches of the drawing, if that makes sense, versus trying to go one place here, starting here, and then going far away from it. It's harder to kind of gauge the scale of everything and all of the dimensions if you're going way far away from where you started. So if you can start in one area and kind of keep to that area, and then we can kind of keep to that area. And I'm not getting too extremely perfectionistic with everything. I'm just trying to keep to what I'm seeing across from me. So that's, so far we're doing pretty good. Now I'm working into the his left leg here. This is the chair here, so I'm going to put the chair here. And then we have some of the cross members of the chair on the bottom here, the support for the chair there. And no worries, the chair is not that important. Cuff of the pants. Socks here. Shoe. Okay, and then we come over here and we say, all right, we have the pants over here, and that goes over across there, pretty much in line with the chair. I went a little bit lower, no big deal. And then there's some folds of the pants over here. Okay, and then we have the here we have the shoe and the socks. So we have that white sock there, and then there's the shoe. There we go. Then over here along the heel, there's the other part of the chair. And again, the chair is not the focal point, but we do want to get it rendered correctly so that it sort of will look well. And a couple details, buttons on the jacket, but that's not a really big concern. And then let's get our figure here, our eyes. So I'm just going to put those lines across the eyes first here. Let's do the eyes first. Nose. And again, just some indications. You don't have to get everything perfect. I'm going to erase a little bit with my kneaded eraser, just so I can just so I can get some details here. There we go. I'm not going with extreme details here. Just I'm getting my eye sockets, the 2 circles for the eye sockets. I do want to get the eye, the 2 eyes here, just like that. And then here, I did want to put this over the top of the knee area here, so his left knee. There is the cuff of his shirt, of his jacket there, and then his hand. So we're just going to put his hand here. So I'm just going to put his hand here. And he's got that little bit of snack he has there. It's, I think, of an orange. So I'm just putting his hand there. Hands are definitely difficult to draw, but I think we have it there. It looks okay. And I think this looks really good so far. We'll be able to see the how the final painting turns out is really, you don't have to worry about the pencil drawing. As long as the pencil drawing is somewhat close and looks pretty accurate, you're okay, because your painting is really going to really take over once you start putting that paint on the paper. And those watercolors, it's just going to look beautiful in itself. So always remember that your watercolors are going to make your paintings look beautiful no matter what you do. So don't worry about it. I'll erase a few lines here and there just to soften things up so it doesn't look so rigid with the pencil lines. I noticed here too, the hat is a little bit on an angle over here. Like that. Okay. So now we've completed this. This is perfect. Let's take a break. Again, we did a lot of work here in this drawing, the pencil drawing, and now's the perfect time. Let's take a break, and then we'll come right back and we'll start painting. That'll be really the more fun part of this is the painting, but it is fun drawing too. Always remember, just keep drawing, practicing 15 minutes a day. Draw anything you have, anything you see outside your window. Draw a pencil, draw a pen, draw an apple, draw something. 15 minutes a day. That'll just continually train your eye for your pencil drawings. So if you can just work 10-15 minutes a day drawing something, anything, keep a little pad, maybe a nice little pad of paper, or maybe a spiral bound sketchbook, and just put like one painting in there or one drawing in there a day. That's all you have to do. One drawing a day, pencil sketch, use a pen, use all different stuff. Just grab a pen, a magic marker, a pencil, whatever it is. Just do it. Just 15 minutes a day. Practice your drawing. It'll make this process here go a lot easier. But again, we absolutely want to use our plastic to help us render our figure here, because it is a difficult, challenging drawing. It's not easy to get all these angles and lines and curves, all the things that you see in here. If we have these original markings on the paper, you'll be able to draw a lot more effectively, so definitely try it out. I'm telling you, you'll have a lot more fun, and you can do it with anything, any kinds of, any drawings. If you're doing seascapes, landscapes, boats, whatever it is, flowers, you can always try this using acetate with a little bit of a Sharpie marker to get some of your drawing done first. Sketch out some ley lines, some preliminary ley lines here, your verticals, your horizontal lines. You do a little bit of markings on them. Maybe you put down, seat, leg, shoe, shoulder. You can do more notes than I did on my plastic. but for the most part, we are cooking and we are going good here. Let's come back. We'll do the painting next. Okay, let's take a break though first. Okay, bye-bye. We'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so we're back again in business and we're going to get started with our painting. Welcome everyone again. We just took a break for 10-15 minutes. I'm just going to get my this is a number 5 Da Vinci travel brush. It's a round brush, so I think this is a good size brush for this painting. I think that's all we would really need is this brush, and I think we would have it set. And again, this is more of a composition, an exercise to have fun, practicing our drawings, our paintings of figures. Let's start and see how we make out. I have fresh, clean water. I think the first thing we'll do is I'm going to do the figures flesh tones, so I'll do the face and the hands first, and then we might take a break, but we might not need to take a break. Maybe we can work around the painting. And I'm going to try to stay within the same color schemes as we see in the painting. So let's do that. So the first thing for flesh, let's go with cadmium red and a little bit of yellow ochre. And that might be a good flesh tone there. It's going to dry lighter, so I want to go a little darker. You can see that's a little bit dark. And I'm just going to go, maybe before I do that, let me put in a little bit of shadowing. So let me add some cerulean blue over here on the side. I want to keep these separate. The cadmium red, yellow ochre for my flesh tone here on the left. Then I'll put a little bit of cool wash for some of the cools in the flesh tones over here on the right. I separate those two. And then once we have that set, we can go in and add that to our painting, and it's only a little bit of flesh here really on this figure, just the face and the hands, and a little bit on the legs. So yeah, I think we're going to be able to get these flesh tones in really quickly and nicely, and it shouldn't be a problem. So we'll go with our red first here. And what I'll do is we'll just start in one place and get our flesh tone right in there like that, and we're not going to lift up the brush. We're going to keep the brush right in there in the center of the face area. You can go right into the hat with that, that's fine. Then we rinse the brush, pick up a little bit of the blue, and maybe we're going to do some cooler wash over here on the sides of the face, and we blend that in with the, and maybe a little bit of warmth in the ear. Maybe we'll put a little more red over here. You want to get those warm and cool, and then we can just blend that into the hat. That's fine. And that will look good. We'll do the same thing. We'll use some flesh tones for the hands. So we'll just go over here for the hand. And the hands are a little bit darker over here maybe. And then a little bit lighter for the finger areas. Just like that. And also too, we'll put some of the flesh tones here. So that's the this figure's leg here. This kindly gentleman here, he's actually that's here. A little bit of flesh tone there, and then this is blue. So we'll use some different blues here: cobalt blue, French ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, and I'll just get some purple too. And I'll just get a little bit of that, the cuff of the pants here. A little bit of darker darks under there, shadowing. Then he has his shoes here. Let's get some blacks in here. We got some ivory black, Payne's gray. And then we'll just follow our shadow patterns over here. So over on this side of his shoe, we have, it's a little bit lighter over here. So I'll rinse off my brush. And as we always say, I keep a tissue or a sponge close by, or I use my apron and I dry off some water off the brush once I rinse it. And this way you can get that nice light on this side of the shoe over here for the shadowing. And then over here the same thing. We could do the shoe. So what I'm doing now is I'm just working around the painting. I'm letting the flesh colors dry. And then I'm going to try to just do some work around the other parts of the painting here. And there's a little bit of and there's a little more darker darks on this side. Dry off my brush. I rinse my brush off, dry it off a little. And then this is more lighter over here. So we'll get that lighter tonal value over here, like that. And then this part of the shoe here, the sole of his shoes are darker here. So we'll do that. And then maybe we'll find that the little bit of yellow ochre, just to do a little bit of variation in color here. And I'm going to do a little bit of the chair here. So I'll just take my brush and carefully do the chair. Like so. So you could start working around your painting. If you want to put in your flesh tones first, let those dry. And then we just work on the chair, some of the other features here. Right there. So I'll do the shadow underneath these horizontal supports on the chair first, and then I'll go over the top. And a little bit of warmth and that's the seat of the chair. So we do a little bit of the same colors, the ivory black, Payne's gray, and a little bit of yellow ochre. And just start working around the painting. I'll go with some straight ivory black there for the underside of the shoe. Okay, so we're going to keep working ourselves around the painting. This is really a nice yellow ochre with a little bit of that ivory black and Payne's gray for the hat, but mostly yellow ochre. And we can get that in. And we can and it's a little darker underneath, so add some more darker, add some ivory black to that mixture of yellow ochre, just to get that darker tone underneath the rim of the hat, like that. And maybe this is a little bit, Not everything's going to turn out perfect when you do a drawing or a painting. Most times you'll find you can always go back and look at it and say, oh, I think I could have did this better, that better. That's just part of being an artist. You're always trying to improve on something and trying to see if you can improve here and there. And again, we're letting this flesh tone completely dry 100%, so I'd let that go to the last bit of work that we're going to do at this point. I don't want to go back and do anything with the hands or the flesh tones or the face until it's really had a lot of time to dry. So let's continue with that thought. And we're going to look at the pants again, and we're going to say that's cobalt blue, maybe a little bit of burnt umber in there to make those pants a little bit more. They're darker in this section here. So we're going to do that. They're darker over here. And they get lighter as they go over to this side. Like that. Then there's a little bit darker over here. So I'm using French ultramarine violet for that darker dark under here, purple. You can mix that with a little bit of French ultramarine blue and a little bit of burnt umber to give it even more of a dark, even some ivory black. And I'm just doing some shadow lines here. Then more of that medium tone blue, which is a little bit of burnt umber and some cobalt blue we could use. That seems to be good. And then we just mix that around. Let that water work for us. And that's really all the way across here, like so. Okay, that's and I let things work around. Couple of splashes here and there. Okay, this is the white part of the jacket. So his jacket is a two-tone jacket. It's blue on top, like a beautiful aqua. It's almost like a cerulean blue with a little more green, like some kind of like that. That's like a turquoise, beautiful turquoise color. So we can get that with some, we'll use viridian green and cerulean blue mixed together, and that should give us pretty much a good, that gives us a really nice green like that. Like that. So we'll just mix that right in, start working that in here since we have the, and then we'll go back in and do the shadowy colors here, burnt umber and cerulean cobalt blue for a nice shadow color with a little bit of the yellow ochre, and we'll just put some shadow colors here on the side of his jacket over here. That should be good. And then we can go in and do a little bit of the purple and darker French ultramarine blue, purple. Dry off a little bit of the paint. I don't want to have too much paint on there. And then just maybe a couple little darks here and there. And we can always go in and do a few more shadowy type darks when we have to. But as long as we get a few, and then here, more of that blue, burnt umber, and French ultramarine blue, and cobalt blue. And we're going to get that dark in there too. That's the dark of the top of the jacket. Like that. There. And then over here. And then more of our teal type color. It's a teal or a turquoise, like that. And we'll just get the and then we just try to work around and maybe a little darker here and there. Try to find the shadow areas. So I'm just doing a couple of shadow areas. And then lighten up over here, dry off a little bit of the water. Damp brush, just a damp brush here. A couple splashes here and there. Again, we're having fun here. And I'm just going to do a little bit of swirling, of the brush, just to get something different going on outside of the figure area. Maybe a little bit of yellow ochre over here for the outside over here, like that. A couple splashes. And I'll just add a little bit of water and a little bit of yellow ochre just to have some background here. And again, same thing over here. Maybe I'll start to work in a little bit of that background, mysterious colors, a little bit of wash around the... Very lightly though, and make sure we have clean water in our bucket. I'm using fresh clean water. And I'm just going to do some splashing. You can blot that up a little bit. Just trying to get some different background wash going just a little bit. And I think what the background wash does is it keeps the painting from looking like it's cut and pasted onto the paper. So if you can get some washes that blend in with the figure and the figure's clothing, you can kind of have it sort of blend into the background just a touch. And my background colors are nothing more than just the same colors we're using, warm and cool. Using just the same palette that we're using. You can add a few darker darks here and there if you want, just to bring out some certain parts if you want. Maybe this jacket over here, you want to put a little highlight over here. If it doesn't look great, you can always lift up a little bit of paint, no problem. So if you ever have an area that doesn't look so great and you think, no problem, you just take some tissue, clean tissue, and just blot it up. And so we have that. And I put a little bit of shadow under the chair. And then we can do more straight paint, no water, straight paint, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, here, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, a little bit of purple. Then I dry off my brush a little bit, and I just would do a little shadow under here, underneath his shirt, and he's got that. So we'll put a little shadow under there. And maybe I'll add just a little bit of flesh tone under there. Dry off my brush and just kind of blend it in a little bit. And a little bit of orange. He has an orange there. And I think that's coming along good. I think we should take a break now. Let's let this all dry. Probably better, since we have a lot of painting done here. And again, I did a lot of this swirling and a little bit of light washes around the figure. And it gives us the option, does that make sense? It gives us the option to kind of blend in the figure to the background a little bit, so that it doesn't just look cut out and pasted looking, that look. And a little bit of splashing. And I think we need a little bit of cool up here, so a little more of the there we go, just to blend that into the background. Okay, I think we're just gonna have to do we're just gonna have to go in here and do a little more touch up in the figure's features, the facial features. So we're gonna do a little bit of touch up to the eyes, the mouth, the nose of the figure, just to get a little more detail on that. But other than that, everything else is looking really good. So let's come back and we'll do that. and I think we'll be all set. And maybe a couple of shadows in the jacket here and the pants maybe. It might be good. Okay, now we're getting a little bit to the point where we have to be careful not to do too much more and disturb too much of the paper that's already been painted on, and it's still drying too, so we want to let this dry 100%. So let's come back. Again, I always mention, please subscribe if you can. It's right down here, the red button. If you hit subscribe, you'll be right along with us here each week, every week. We're painting watercolors. We're doing every type of subject matter. We do seascapes, landscapes, we do bow paintings, we do figure painting, we do flowers, still life paintings, everything watercolor. So you're getting all the information you need for your watercolor progress. So if you want to make progress in watercolor, keep here, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell too as well. This way you'll know exactly when our video comes out. You can watch full through, see everything. If you like it, you can come back and start working on it. If not, you wait till the next video that comes out. If you really don't feel like painting whatever subject matter we're doing for the different weeks that we're working, we always change our subject matter, so you're always going to get a little bit of everything with our channel here, so you can just really pick and choose your videos that you like, but we're always going to cover the same techniques and methods as we go for every painting. So even if you don't want to paint a figure here, you're still going to learn all about the methods and techniques of what we're doing as far as how we're handling the brush, the paints, the water, the methods of watercolor. So that never changes. No matter what painting you're doing and what subject matter you're working on, you're always going to be using those same methods and techniques of how you're handling your paints, your brush, your water, your technique, so on and so forth. So keep tuned here on my channel, and we're gonna have a great time going forward. So we'll be right back. We'll finish up this painting, this wonderful painting of a nice kindly old gentleman having some fruit. He's having a nice orange on the side of the road here, and he's watching people walking by in the city and watching cars go by, and he's just getting some fresh air, having a little break himself out here in the streets locally, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back again, and we're going to finish up this painting, and you're going to see how we actually just get those final little touches of details in here that really are going to just make this painting perfect, in the sense that we definitely are careful not to go overboard with too much detail and too much overwork. You did notice that I left the face, so the portrait area, the face and the hands, I left that dry. So we started with that, and then we let that dry completely as we were working all around those areas. And now we're just going to go in, and those are the last areas we're going to touch up because we needed that to dry. You could also use a blow dryer if you want to speed that process up. So sometimes, you know, you might want to finish doing your face and your hands and the details with shadows and so forth, and some of the details of the features of the face and the hands. So you could paint the first light wash on there first, like we did when we first started, dry it off with a blow dryer, and then finish it, you know, finish the eyebrows and maybe some of the shadowing at the lips and the nose and the eyes and so forth. You can do that, but you have to make sure that paper is 100% dry, because if you try going in and doing small fine details on a smaller painting like this, you could just put one little dab of paint on and it'll just totally like blossom out and mushroom out and cauliflower out and make a real mess on the facial area or the hands area. So that's why I always say, when you do your first wash of your head or your hands or your flesh tones and that area, you definitely want to let that dry 100%. And that is the area you really want to start with, and you want to make sure you do that area first, because then you can just work around those areas and it's already completed. But in this case, I didn't choose to do it that way. I chose to just do the first light wash of the face and the hands, and then work around the rest of the painting while that dried. And now it's 100% dry, so now at the end of the painting we can just fill those small details in. for the eyes and the mouth and the nose, and some of the shadows under the hat, and some of the shadows on the hand, and I think we'll be, you know, really in great shape. So let's get back again started. I'll do a little bit of spritzing of my palette. So I'll maybe make a couple here. I'll just clean up the palette, matter of fact. Let me just do that. It's always good to keep our palette clean, fresh. We want fresh colors. Sometimes the colors get muddied up a little bit too much. Depends on what you're painting. Sometimes lots of colors mixed together looks good. For this painting, we're trying to keep it more simple color scheme, not too many colors, not too many grays and complex mixtures of paint. And what we'll do is we'll make a little bit of darker dark for the facial area. So we're going to do the burnt umber, burnt sienna, and a little bit of yellow ochre maybe. A little bit of cadmium red too. A little bit of cadmium red just in there. And a little bit of raw umber. Raw umber is a nice, and burnt umber. And then a little bit of French ultramarine blue at the bottom here, just to get a darker dark if we need it. So that's sort of the kind of mixture we would want to mix up for our final details to the facial area and the hands shadowing. So our shadow colors, cadmium red, raw umber, yellow ochre as well. And then for our darker area, we can just add a little bit of French ultramarine blue down here at the bottom for a darker color, darker tonal value for the shadows. And that should be good. And maybe also cerulean blue over here. And let's see what we can do here now. I'm going to carefully look at the shadows. I'm just going to get a little bit of paint on my brush, just on the very tip of the brush. Dry off a little bit of it. Just want to go very, very lightly. So I'm going to just try to get the shadows that I'm seeing where the eyes are, the eye sockets. So you can see the eye sockets are darker under here. And there's a little bit of a shadow under here. And his face has got a little more shadow over here on this side. So I'll put a little bit of that shadowing there. And now we can do a little more shadowing here under the brim of the hat. There's a little bit of shadow under here, under the brim of the hat. So I'm going to try to go across there, like so. Try to just smooth that in a little bit. And then, same thing, try to soften that up a little bit on the top there. Then we're going to do a little bit of red in the ears here. A little bit of red underneath the eyes. So I'm just going to try to do very, very slight colors just to put in some and a little bit of shadow under the nose, just a tiny bit there. And maybe just a little bit of and I added a little bit of cadmium red up there. And I want to get a little bit of that shadow there too, though. Don't worry about it. If it doesn't come out perfect, you're just looking to try to get the darks and lights pretty good. And a little bit of shadow under here, so I put a little shadow under the chin area, but very subtle. Everything doesn't have to be perfect when you're doing a painting like this, as far as like the clothing or the shirt or the tie, or if you're going to do a shirt and tie. You can add a tie if you wanted to this, painting, if you thought you might like to see a tie on there. You know, I'm trying to blend the colors in a little bit, so I'm making a little more red color for like the neck area and the chin area here. More, I would like to see maybe a little more of cadmium red on the nose there, and on the chin, and maybe on the cheeks a little bit. And that kind of will give it a little more interesting color variation, and maybe it's cooler on this side over here. So I'll add some blue over there on this left side. And then over here he's looking pretty good. And I think that's pretty good. I don't want to overdo it. And I dry my brush again off, rinse my brush off, dry it off on some tissues here. And then we just try to and a little bit of French ultramarine blue for here, under there for shadowing, and blend that there on the left, on the right. And he looks like he's leaning forward quite a bit. And you can add a little dark here and there if you need to add a little more. You can mix in a little bit of warmer, some gold, some French ultramarine, some yellow ochre to the jacket if you don't maybe want that solid looking color of the teal or turquoise. You can add a little bit of gold color, so you can change your color combinations around, but for the most part, and then over here we're going to just add maybe a little bit of shadowing under the hands. And then what I'll do is I'll just add some okay, once that dries, it'll look fine. A little bit of cobalt blue mixture there. Dry off the brush, take a little bit of that there, just a little bit of a shadow there, a little bit of a shadow here. I'm going to try to take this shadow and soften it a little bit by his pants here. So I'm just going to take some water on the tip of the brush, some damp, clean water, and then just lift it up a little bit with a tissue and do the same thing, damp brush. I didn't like that shadow there, it didn't look so great, so then I just add it again, you know, tap a little bit with the brush, or with the tissue, and you dampen it up with a brush if you want to lift up a shadow or something like that. Maybe it does look good with a little bit of a shadow like that. That looks good. And I think this looks pretty good. I might do a little bit of instead of having the entire I want to kind of blend this into the background, the head, the side of the face here a little bit. So I just add a little bit of a darker wash there, like that, and around the hat. The brim of the hat I made a little bit too long. I think I made that too far out this way, the brim of the hat. So if you want to hide something a little bit or kind of downplay it, you just blend it in with the background a little more, and then it kind of works. So I did just do that, splash, add some more paint, and kind of just let it blend in there. And again, we're making our watercolors work for us. We're not just saying we have to do something the same way over and over. No, we can change things. We can make things work for us. So again, adding this more darker tonal value along this side of the head and the hat will diminish it a little bit, and it'll hide the fact that maybe I made that hat a little bit too, the brim of the hat too long this way. By the time I realized it was too late and I already had painted it, I drew it first, but then I painted it, and when I painted it I realized it was too much this way. So it's too long this way, this brim of the hat here. So then again, you just let it work out, take some paint, and just make a darker tonal value over here on this side. Make it interesting, add some good looking color to it, some cerulean blue. That might be the shadow over here on this side. More splashes. There you go. Maybe add a little bit of there we go. So maybe the light is more over here. The light is splashing over here on the background, and the shadow side's over here. And we can add a little bit of color to that. A little bit of purple with the blue, and that is good because we have purple over here, here. We have purple everywhere. Let's use some purple up here, like that. And therefore we can just blend the whole painting together, harmonize everything together, and I think that looks pretty good. You can make a darker shadow under the hat if you want. Let's see if we could add a little bit of, that was French ultramarine blue, purple, and a little bit of burnt umber for a grayish color. And we can make a darker shadow there. And we can also do a couple little quick dots of color for the eyes. I forgot to do the eyes here. Let's do that. French ultramarine blue and burnt umber. Completely very dry brush, no water in the brush, just straight paint. And we just go across like that. And that's all. We don't need a lot of detail on the facial features here, really. It's kind of a small painting anyway. Okay, everybody, I hope you had fun doing this one. Again, please subscribe if you haven't. Thumbs up if you like this. Thumbs down if you're not so interested in doing figure painting. I imagine most of you are willing to try figure painting if you have the right methods and techniques. Am I correct? So thumbs up if you like it. We'll do more figure painting, of course, all the time. We're always going to do more figure painting. I might touch this up a little more, and you'll see that at the beginning of the video, because I'll probably end it here, touch up some more in the studio after we're done making this video, and then on the final picture, painting, you'll see it in the beginning of the video again, the final painting, and I might touch up a little bit. Maybe I'll do a highlight across the brim of the hat on the top, and I think that's really, you know, maybe some shadows here and there. We'll see, but these paintings are something like this composition, you know, we just kind of loose, fun, free, do it fast, start another one, don't get too carried away with it. It's just more or less the practice of the process of going through, getting it, getting your subject matter, what you want to paint, your figure, getting that plastic on there, getting your lines, so you figure out some lines that might work for you, some vertical lines, some horizontal lines with the figure. Once you do that, you're getting your sketch down, your first sketch. Once you have that first light sketch down, you're going over the top with your contour drawing. And then after that, you're painting it. And then we're at this point right here where we're pretty much finished with the painting. We're going to let this dry 100%, and then we can always add in a few little highlights here and there, a few little details maybe, but for the most part, this looks pretty good. And again, I hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you on the next video, and happy painting, everybody. And again, thanks for all the great comments, the thumbs up, the fantastic questions in the comment section. I appreciate everybody here, and I thank you again for coming by all the time on this channel and working along with me. We're having a lot of fun here, and we'll see you soon.